Yeah, that's good. Okay. Oh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wake Up America. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Wednesday, and thank you so much for joining us today. When you guys start jumping on, just come on and say hello. Let us know where you're from. And if you're live, say hi live. And if you're on the replay, let us know you're on the replay so that we can know that you guys are watching this and we continue to do this and bring more people on our program. So today we are going to be talking about challenges. And I think it's perfect for the time because of what we're going through and what 2020 has been for all of us, right? I mean, you look at the news, you look at what's going on with COVID, and it's terrible. And the fact is that life was already hard, right? I mean, we all have jobs that either pay pay too little and ask too much of you, right? Too much of your time. And then now we can't socialize. There's so much going on. You turn on the news and it's problem after problem after problem. And it seems like it can get the best of us. And I know because it has personally happened to me. There has been challenges that have gotten the best of me, and that has not let me remember that there is always something to be grateful for. And that is what we are going to be talking about today. And I have very special guests with me, and we are going to talk about these things and much more. And we will be right back in 1 second. So I'm super excited because we had Joshua here before. Joshua is one of the performers for the Teen Summit. He was here with his mom. Hi, Joshua. And today we are here with the dad, Mark Sandy. Hi, Josh. Hi, Mark. How are you guys doing today?
Good afternoon. We're doing good.
I'm pretty good.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad to have you guys here again. And I'm really happy that you guys are on because I know you guys personally, and I know you guys have been facing some challenges. And I think that your story is so inspiring and that it would help many people maybe overcome the challenges that they're going through. So I wanted to start with you, Mark, personally, your biggest challenge. I know what you've been going through. You want to talk about the biggest challenge that you have been facing?
Biggest challenge, bringing him up. That's my biggest challenge.
Well, we're going to be talking about that soon. We're going to be talking about that soon.
No, my biggest challenge, and it obviously hasn't always been that biggest challenge, but actually I found some documentation in 2009. I got cardiomyopathy, so it's almost like having the flu. It was a Christmas time, and I came home from work feeling really bad. Had kind of like a flu, not realizing that it was that bad. And progressively over the Christmas holidays, we come to the I think it was kind of like New Year's. And I said to my wife, I'm just feeling so bad. So we ended up going to the hospital. And unfortunately, because at that time, the job I had, they didn't provide health insurance. They really didn't do a whole lot. But I was able to get a stent and all this other stuff. So that was that. So you just get on with life. I had a stress test the year after, knew I was going to fail because it was just like, I was out of breath. And then in 2012, it was about the end of November 2012, and I felt really groggy at work. I went to a few hospitals. They said it's the season, you're getting ready for Christmas, you're just stressed out. So, and then I kind of thought, it's more than this. So something in my head told me to quit my job 3 weeks before Christmas, which obviously my wife wasn't very happy about. And it was December the 7th. I went downtown and felt really, really bad. And I got on my cell phone and I said to my wife, can you do me a favor? I said, I don't think I'm coming home. Tell Joshua I love him and I love you too. And I hung up the phone. And she knew where I was. And she obviously got on the phone with the squad, got hold of the people where the business I was at, and said, you need to stay with him because I think he's having a big heart attack. So I had these ladies talking to me and talking, obviously to keep me alive. Right. Then I heard the squad, which seemed to me like it took hours for the squad to turn up. And it just got worse and worse. I don't remember even speaking because it was that bad. I was just trying to, just focus on staying alive. So go on.
Was the pain that was?
You know what? It was the only way to describe it, because there's no other way to describe it. It wasn't really a pain. It was a pain of death.
Okay.
In here, this is the end of it. This is the final time. When I had a heart attack before, you could kind of feel it, and they say that it feels like an elephant sitting on your chest. Never had an elephant sit on my chest, so I have no idea what that feels like. Right. So this was literally just squeezing the life out of me. And I got to the hospital, and all I can remember, the last thing I remember in the hospital was my wife was next to me, which I kind of remember seeing her. She was mopping me down because I was sweating, and her friend was right in front of me, and all I could see was her eyes, as if you're seeing someone like you're losing them, and she just this look of sadness, and I was like, okay, this is it, this is the end, and then that was it. I don't remember any more, but apparently I got taken to another hospital where they kept me alive for another day, and then I woke up 2.5 weeks later after a coma in Cleveland Clinic. So I was on a ventilator, and it was pretty crazy. I actually thought I was in a military hospital because everyone was wearing white. I thought I was in like a naval base or something. So it was like, this is crazy, thinking that I was dead, So that's what happened there. Yeah. Actually, I had a spiritual experience when I woke up. I can't remember whether I was on a ventilator or whether I wrote it down.
You were on a ventilator.
Okay, so I was on a ventilator, and I wrote it down, asking my wife. And the thing was, I couldn't really write properly, but I remember wondering where this vessel was that I was brought in. And my wife said, "You weren't brought by a helicopter. You came here by ambulance." And I said, I was basically trying to say, no, I was in something with a whole bunch of people. And as life progressed, I kind of like Googled things and to find out what I actually witnessed. And it was kind of like a limbo between heaven and earth. It was very, very unbelievable. It was very hard to kind of get grips on. But so at that point, they tried to keep me alive. Eventually, I got to New Year's Eve, 2012, 2013, and the doctor came in. And all this time, Joshua was in the room. And the doctor came in, and not seeing that Joshua was in the room, he said to my wife, "I don't think he's going to make it to 2013. I'm sorry." So that's a pretty devastating thing, 2.5 weeks after I'd come to the hospital. But I made it. I woke up. Yeah, I am still here. I literally woke up, and I see the whole line of my family in front of me. And the first thing you think of is, I know what you're here for. You're here to say goodbye to me. And I wasn't going to accept it. I didn't accept that. So I fought through it. And then come to 2013, I had what's called an LVAD, which is short for left ventricular assist device. So that's basically, you have open heart surgery. So you cracked open like anything else that, you have triple heart bypass or whatever else. They put this machine, stitch it to your heart, which is about that big. They stitch it, and you have batteries onto you, and it pumps the blood around your body. That's basically a life support. So it's a mobile life support. So that kept me going, and that was a big life change. I mean, for Joshua, it was a big life change, because now I'm not a father that is like any other father. He's now literally lost his father that can play soccer and can go swimming, and I wasn't allowed to get in the water. One of the good things with that was I wasn't allowed to vacuum, which means I couldn't do any more housework.
Well, I think I know what saved you, Mark. I think it's your sense of humor, that drive, spirit you have.
That's half a lot of people think. And Joshua was
try living with it though.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about that too.
And that is actually one of the things that eventually you get to learn is the only way to get through any of this is to have a sense of humor, is to try and turn. If I cry every time, I would get so depressed. I would just like, you got to kind of understand that it's with the LVAD, it's not just a mobile life support. You've got how many pounds, with everything that you have to carry around, you've got an extra 10, 15 pounds that you've got to carry around. You got this tube that's sticking out your stomach that's attached to your heart. So if I was to pull that, if you were to pull it, that will pull your heart. So this is like, in your mind, and it's depressing.
It's a constant reminder.
Yes.
Of your existence, right? And how delicate it is. So how is it that you maintain yourself steady? Is it your family? I know I said the humor, and I know it's a big part, but I know there's got to be a little bit more to humor, because there are a lot of entertainers who are not able to live and survive, and they overdose and they do crazy things. So
and there's a lot. Robin Williams, I mean, was one of the biggest ones, but he is so hilarious, but yet his life outside the industry was obviously very depressing and very, with the LVAD, I admit now that there were times when I'd sit on the side of my bed. If I turn the power packs off, an alarm would go off, basically saying, "Hey, this is all stopped. You need to get to the hospital." So over time, I mean, I had that for 6 years. That's a long time to kind of change your life. Yeah. So there were times when I'd sit on the side of my bed, just like, what am I really doing here? This is just, I can't go swimming with my son. There's so many things I can't do with him, and as a family, we can't, I have to start eating different things. I have to drink more. I have to take, oh my goodness, probably a total of 300-400 different pills every week. And, it's so depressing. So I knew how to end it. I knew that I could unplug myself. I could press the button to stop the alarm. And within that split second of thinking about it, I'd be thinking, so if I do that, I'm leaving my son without a father. I'm leaving my wife without a husband. I'm leaving my mom without a son. So it's, it all comes back. But then the next night you'll be the same place. So you have to kind of think of, it's just humorous stuff. And with a British kind of background, we have a very dry sense of humor anyway. I offend many people. And now Joshua gets embarrassed about it. But I kind of sometimes like, if you can't handle it, we're only here for once, and I'm going to make the most of it. And if I can inspire people by just, no, I don't know. I've come to grips with being an inspiration. Before, people used to say you're so inspiring. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just living this. I don't have a choice,
Yes, but it is inspiring, Mark. It is inspiring because of one thing. Because people get very, and I include myself sometimes too. Because I had problems with that before. Sometimes we get so wrapped up with our external world that we can't be happy. And a mood turns, a habit, a thought pattern turns into a mood, and it turns into a behavior, and then it eventually turns into a personality trait. Yeah. And so people are depressed. People, you know what I mean? They have all these things. And it's a reminder. Your story is a reminder. It's a reminder to tell people you have so much to be grateful for. Do you understand? Because being happy is not something, you're not born happy. You can have all the money in the world, you can have looks, you could have whatever you want, and you still will not be happy. Happy is something that it's a mindset. You have to every day say, you know what? I can be depressed. Yes, I have all this to be depressed about, but I choose this. It's a choice, and not all of us can make that choice, and you are able to make that choice every day. Yeah. So that in itself is inspiring. That isn't in itself enough for you to go and tell your story again and again and again. I was happy when I was born, though. I came out happy. My mother wasn't very happy because she wanted a little girl, so she wasn't very happy. But yes, go ahead, continue.
No, it was that. See, that was the biggest thing, and then for Joshua, a lot of it was guilt. I mean, although it wasn't my fault, it was like there was always something. I had, I didn't just have heart failure. Um, I had not liver, kidney.
Cancer.
Well, no, this is before that.
Oh, well, yeah.
So I had
cancer too.
kidney disease, which then shut everything down. A lot of this shuts. So once the heart starts going wrong, everything else starts shutting down. And then I became really big into Donate Life because obviously my goal having this was a bridge from going from the LVAD to getting a heart transplant. I knew nothing about any of this, and I told someone the other day on another podcast that when you're in Britain, you automatically become a donor. Over here, you take the choice whether you become a donor or not. So over here, you either opt in, over there, you opt out. So it's kind of, and that's what we're trying. Actually, a friend of mine's we're trying to change that law. I think it could have been changed actually to where, we should all have that chance. So I'd go around and talk to kids and go into schools and Joshua's age, and so that makes a big difference.
Yes,
and actually he comes with me a lot of the time as well.
And I think it is important because teens right now, and I think in part it has a lot to do with social media.
Yeah.
Because we're comparing creatures. We learn through mirror neurons. I mean, we see each other, we observe, and we pick up things. We learn. On the same token, we are comparison creatures. So we tend to compare. Now with social media, it becomes very difficult. I mean, you see it. These people have beautiful lives on Instagram, on other accounts, TikTok, and these kids think, well, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have that, and already teenagers are so difficult with hormones and finding yourself and all these new experiences that they get depressed. And so, yes, things like your story are able to inspire them because it'll show them that, like we said before, they have so much to look forward to. And once again, it helps them remember that it is a state of mind and that it is something that is achievable. That is what I love about, learning. And I know that you study too, because I see your posts, learning about how the body works and how the brain works and everything works. Yeah. You're able to see that you have more control than you think.
Yeah.
You actually, you do have control. If you're able to control yourself, then, you're able to control your life a little bit better. And sometimes it's so focused in trying to control everything else. And we don't realize that it really, really starts with us.
Yeah. And we're saying that about learning. So it's really hard because social media is like we've got, I'm an admin on, it's called LVAD Friends. So everybody that had or has and had an LVAD is on this one group. And now there's I think there's 4,800 people in there. So I've decided, well, I've done that, been there and done that, but I still answer questions to these people. So I'm like, you know what? Why can't I do heart transplant friends so we can combine them and double it? I mean, if we can get 10,000 people in these different groups, I mean, that would be great. And actually, it's now taken this long to get to the point where I feel that I've got the knowledge now to say to people, like people that get on there and say, hey, I'm bleeding from my wound site. What do I do? Go to the hospital. It's a bit of common sense, but and then when you've got younger people, I mean, there was someone that when I got my LVAD, there was someone that Joshua's age. He would have been his age. He was absolutely awesome, and he lived in British Columbia, and heart transplants there are just so rare. He's got his heart transplant and unfortunately passed away. It absolutely devastated me because he was the first person I'd ever come across that had a transplant. So then I look at Joshua and I think I've now given Joshua this really bad thing that when he goes to the doctor when he's older and they say, so do you have any family history? Joshua's going to have to fill out like 10 different pieces of paper with like, yeah, my dad had this, he had this, oh, this, and he had this. And so hopefully I've given him some perspective into medical side, but also with I do get on his nerves. I mean, unfortunately,
that isn't a lie. He does.
Unfortunately, my humor, it really is. Sometimes I kind of
No, it's just we both have big egos. We are both really self-confident. I'm fine with talking a lot. He's also likes talking as much as he can about himself. I've noticed that by looking at the time for 20 minutes straight about talking about yourself.
No, I'm not talking about myself. I'm trying to.
Yes.
If there's someone like you sitting someone else and they're just like, wow, these two are kind of cool, and they don't have, for instance, if there's a Joshua out there that doesn't have a figure that they can relate to, there's plenty of people out there that you can talk to. Like Joshua knows so much about.
It's made me conscious on health and stuff. So like going to school and seeing what kids are eating, knowing that I shouldn't eat. Like I don't drink energy drinks because I know it's not good for anyone's heart, but it's especially not good for someone like who's probably gonna end up getting the DNA like of him and having a terrible heart. So like I'm more conscious about what I do with my life and how to make like my life longer.
Vaping pens. Is it vape pens?
Vapes.
Vapes.
And
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? It's about that we were saying. It's about being aware and having the knowledge exactly and self-control. Now that you know this, you practice nutrition, and there you go. You don't have certain things because you know they're good for you.
Yes.
So did you used to drink energy drinks? What else would you do? Are you really big into sweets or anything like that? What was your diet like before?
I mean, I don't really like. Well, I mean, it all kind of happened when I was like 7, so I couldn't it was just slowly progressing. So like from that point, everything that I would do, I've kind of slowly formed into like, especially how I am now. Like compared over the past 8 years, the stuff I've done is just I've been eating really unhealthy, which I still kind of do. But also like it also comes not even just eating or just more of the lifestyle. Just being lazy and stuff is really bad because you're just
lazy.
I mean, you're lazy, but like I don't know, just being more aware of everything. So I don't know, just getting out and walking, trying to find some part of your day to actually spend outside and like just exercising or something along the lines of that.
It is hard for Joshua because he's like my mini me. He's like the son that I always kind of, actually me and my wife, we always wanted that little boy that, like when we first met, I was like, I'd love a son, and we just both imagined him, and there he popped along, and like, man, this is crazy. And then at 7 years old, when you really I really wanted to do so much, and then I wasn't just sick. I mean, I was at death's door. I mean, I literally got to the second hospital dead. I mean, I was dead for 5 minutes. So, the whole family heard them code, and I mean, that's a heck of a thing to think about. So we hung around together for many years. Now he's grown up a little bit more. He tries not to hang around me because I'm embarrassing.
So because I know you mentioned earlier that, and I think that's a really good point, because parents nowadays are so busy, right? Time is our biggest commodity. And you kind of had something similar, because you're saying, well, now I can enjoy the things that I wanted to enjoy with my son. Here I am. I have the son that I've always wanted. And now I can't take him to play ball. I can't take him to these high impact activities. So how did you make up for it? Because I see that you guys have a beautiful relationship. So I know you had to do something. It doesn't just happen.
No, the funny thing is that I was just thinking about, so for 7 years, I was not allowed to get near water because of this. Obviously, it's electrics, and if I submerge myself in the water, then everything's going to fry and I die. So we went to Myrtle Beach when I had my heart transplant.
Mm-hmm.
So when I had my heart transplant, that following year, they say that after you've had a heart transplant, it takes about 12 months to really kind of get back to your normal self, which I'm never going to be my normal self. So we went on vacation to Myrtle Beach, and it was kind of strange because I gave him the camera and I said, you got to video me going into the water. I had this vision of diving in the water. It didn't quite work like that. It was cold. It was like, oh my God, it's too cold. But he took the camera like it was this big thing for me. So it was almost like I turned it around, like he was the adult, I was the kid. And that's the way.
That's how it is all the time.
I would like to thank everyone who's on watching our show and sharing this time with us. Wakas, thank you for a wonderful conversation. Thank you for your post. It's a wonderful show. Thank you so much. Sunny, hi. And guys, continue. I just wanted to say hi to everybody. Thanks everyone who's watching right now.
No, I was trying to read it. I was trying to read the thing there. Sorry.
Oh.
No, it was, and that's true. Joshua sees this different side of me, and I think he's maturing and getting older than me. I think I'm going back. What's that movie? But Benjamin Button.
But I think that younger. To answer the question you asked, I think it was more or less like when he first got out of hospital when I was like 7. I think it was like instead of doing everything that he wanted to do with me, he was allowing me to do what I wanted to do. So like it was like you guys they took me to literally like a good month or 2 after he got out. They took me to some Lego convention. And it's like they like let me, if I had an idea that I wanted to go do, they'd like take me and go do this. And then so it's more or less like they get to see me happy doing what my idea was. And then when he got the heart transplant, then we would go back and do everything that he wanted to do.
And that was really, really, really tough because I came out of hospital and I bought myself a car. It was just a little cheap car. And then we found out there was a Lego convention. I mean, this was a long time ago now. And
I don't even remember.
We all got in the car. And this is the first time I've driven this car more than 5 minutes. And we drove 5 hours. And we went to this hotel. And I literally, when you leave a hospital after such a big operation, you find it very hard to relax, to lay in bed, to be somewhere different. And my wife and Joshua slept. I sat in this chair looking out the window. I guess St. Louis, Kentucky, I think is like the biggest FedEx air hub in the country. So I literally sat there all night watching these planes come in all night long because I couldn't sleep because I was so scared of sleeping in a different place. But if I made him happy, that was my vision of that weekend. So it was kind of neat, and then plus it made me feel normal again because there's other kids running around and he's happy, and it was pretty awesome. But you've got to literally fight. I mean, I had to fight,
and
so much.
And so, how do you think that? So, what would you say helped you guys as a family unit? Because I know that you guys are still going through something right now. I don't know if you want to like quickly mention like what happened to your sister, which is also something that I think should be talked about because the topic is very important.
The crazy thing about what's happening right now is, but going back to Donate Life, going and sitting down with teens, I can go and talk to a teenager and they can say, "Oh, that's really good. I'll become a donor." But that teenager has to tell their parents or any of their loved ones and tell them, "This is my wishes. If anything tragic happens, like and touch wood, if anything does happen to Joshua, say he's in a car crash and he ends up on life support, I might not know he's a donor of any kind, but he then becomes a hero, and that's the most amazing thing in life. From my hero, I've now got life. So we got a call from we didn't get a call. So my stepdaughter and her sister left here, and they drove 5.5 hours home to Tennessee, and 1 minute from home, they came around a bend. My stepdaughter was driving. They came around a bend, and there was a car coming right opposite, and it hit them. And they flipped the car 3 times. The ironic thing is, just before they left, they checked the car because of his dad. Her dad wanted to make sure there's no scratches on the car before they left. Well, by the time they got home, 1 minute home, there was more than a scratch. The whole car was obviously totaled. My stepdaughter kind of got trapped in the driver's seat. She got brought out. Then her sister was trapped for probably an hour. And it turned out that they were hit by a drunk driver. And actually his wife got a broken back and everything else. So it's been really, really bad. I haven't seen her. We've just seen photos. And she has a very, very bad, everything was broken and the rest, but her right arm She's got 27 screws. She's got plates. And literally we went to physical therapy and literally she could kind of not even do that. So I'm just like furious. I mean, I'm just for a person to get in the car knowing that they've just taken a drink, and I won't even take a drop of alcohol if I'm going to get in a car. It's just not worth it. So
the thing that brings our family, like, that makes us so, like, that brings us together and makes us able to, like, talk about is just being open with each other. Like, if someone has a problem with something, we'll say it. That's just how our family is.
Yeah, that is. And my stepson and my stepdaughter, I mean, my stepson is 20, no, he's 32, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
32. My stepdaughter is 28 and he's 15. So we would hear things. Right. We would hear things, yeah. We would hear things from them, like you tell your kids, tell us everything. And then they tell us everything. I'm like, I don't really want it to know that. I don't want to know. It's good that you're telling me the truth, but no, I didn't really want to know that, you done this or done that. But then we'd rather know, and we'd rather you be safe, that if we do know, and this, so Joshua's pretty open. We do have some pretty heated discussions, and he is very intelligent.
Yes, he's very intelligent and self-aware.
Yeah.
And also he's also found his purpose, calling, and talent. So I feel like he's got everything in his favor, and that's why I think it's fantastic that the both of you get together and go talk to teens and families.
Yeah.
Because there's so many good things in this story. Like, your personal story is so challenging and so interesting, and you are going through it. And then on the other hand, Joshua, is suffering those effects because as a child, he has had to sacrifice many aspects of himself, like we had talked about in the interview with his mother. There's a lot of things that Joshua hasn't been able to do like a normal kid.
Yeah.
But like Joshua mentioned, not being able to hang out or do certain things made him be able to spend more time with himself. And I remember talking about last interview that Joshua had spent a lot of time thinking about, what do I want to do? What do I like? And that helped him develop his character. I don't know if you want to mention like a little bit about that and how it is that you started to not care about what other people thought or about FOMO, missing out about,
Yeah, so I remember talking about that. It was when he first, well, it was when the second time when he went into Ohio State University, I was taken out of I think it was 5th grade for a good 4 or 5 months. And the thing with kids is they don't want to stand out, they don't want to be different because they don't want to have to go through the judgment of their peers. And me not being in school, me not being around my peers basically allowed me to do that because I could dress how I wanted to dress and I could act how I wanted to act without getting judged. So I already built up that confidence. So then when I did finally go back to school, it was it took me some time to build up more of the confidence to actually not care at all. Because it was still kind of tough at the beginning, but I still had that confidence to know that what they're saying is just judgment because they can't do that, because they feel they aren't confident enough to do that.
Yeah, and it's a good story because I remember your mom even saying that, you got a little bit picked on in school and it got to the point that they even had to talk to the principal. But what I want to point out here to everyone watching is the fact that, we think, oh, that person is, oh, he's just so brave, or, he's just so talented. But no, we're not born with these qualities. Actually, these qualities are qualities that we develop, and we all have our talents because we all have special gifts, but there are things that we have to develop, and courage is one of them. None of us are born super brave. You learn through, just like success. You don't become successful. You become successful through your failures.
Yeah.
And so, like Joshua, you got picked on. I'm sure it didn't feel good at the beginning, did it?
No, it was terrible. Something that I've noticed though is even with my confidence, even in my music, I was going through my old phone and we found a video of me singing 3 or 4 years ago. And I hate when people say, oh, you were born with that talent. I'm like, no, I wasn't. Like my confidence, you can even hear it in the singing because it's music. You'd need confidence in order to actually perform music and make it sound good. So, and I noticed that with that, my confidence just wasn't there. My voice was shaky. I sounded depressed and just like sad, and just the whole video was just sad because it didn't sound good. There was no confidence, and that's where I've noticed that you have to build that. It needs to be something that's like built over time.
Exactly. Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that, and that would make a great little story if you posted the before and the after, because honestly, I love music. I've been a music fan since I was a baby. Like, it's one of my huge things, and being that I was a DJ, Mark, you're a DJ too, so I think that you have an incredible talent, and I mean, amazing. And it's so interesting to hear that you had to work at it, and you do both, you sing and you do guitar. So, to those who think that, you have to be a natural, either, basketball player, throw hoops. From what I've heard, these basketball players throw anywhere from 350 to 3,000 like hoops straight in a row, and they just don't move. And like Joshua's mom was saying the last interview, Joshua will spend 2 to 3 hours a day sometimes on his music just practicing alone. So when you want to do something, that is how you build a skill. It's through the blisters.
Yeah.
It's through the hard work,
And it annoys everyone else, but.
And isn't it true, like, when you started playing or when you started singing, doesn't it feel like, because I felt like that when I was DJing at the beginning, the first couple of days, it feels like you're not going to get it, because I've grabbed the guitar and I can do a song really bad. But I remember in the beginning, it almost feels like you're just doing everything wrong. And then one day you're just playing.
That's exactly, one of the first songs that kind of kicked off my, me like actually getting out with my music and putting it out and like getting in the streets of Columbus and everything. It was Creep by Radiohead. And the original version I listened to was a piano part. And I never learned it. So I finally got on the piano a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, I'm actually going to sit down and learn it because it's actually a really pretty piano part. And the first night I just kept I knew what I was playing was kind of right, but I just felt that something just felt wrong. And I just kept practicing. And my brain just didn't click until the next morning I woke up. And I always feel like this happens is that the next day when I come back, it's finally settled and set in stone in my brain that just makes sense. So I can just sit there now and just play it over and over and over. And it just feels right.
Wow. It's so amazing you mentioned that, because that's exactly how the brain works. The brain works by repetition. So when you start practicing something, it starts becoming an unconscious habit. So it creates what's called the loop, right? The pattern loop.
Meditation.
Exactly. But it's funny because and this is why I say that we are quantum computers, because we kind of work similar to a computer. So it needs time to render. So when you practice, sometimes the day that it feels like the worst, and that you had the hardest struggle, you go to bed, and then that next day it's like magic, because your brain just processed it and it finally locked it in. It's not able to do it when you sleep. And this is why I also want to say to those of you guys who are listening, why sleep is probably the most important thing. I remember years ago they used to say that a human being couldn't live 3 days without water or food. And that's been proven. We can live 40 days without food or water or whatever. But what we can't live without is sleep. And there's a reason for that, because this is the way that our brain and that our body heals. So it's just as important. Guys, I want to thank you so much for doing this interview with me today. I want to ask you guys a question. So before going, so what would you say is the biggest thing that you guys do together that makes your relationship work? Like, what is it that you guys spend the most time on that you enjoy?
This may sound kind of just not, it wouldn't make sense when saying it until I explain it, is I truly think fighting has what brought us together the best. And it makes sense only because of the fact that if me and him don't argue and fight about it, we can't come to a solution about how we agree on something or how we disagree on something. It's the only thing that's actually bonded us is us fighting and getting over the thing that we're fighting about.
And he doesn't mean fighting I mean, I mean, yes, because we then laugh about it afterwards, and you have to talk. You definitely have to talk. Any teens out there that are listening to this, you've got to you just got to be, and even parents watching this, sometimes it's probably better for the parents to watch this than the teens, to be honest, because some parents are just like in this tunnel and they don't realize that maybe their kids do things that maybe they shouldn't be doing, but talk about it. You know, you gotta, I mean, some things that Joshua says, it's like, oh my goodness, don't be doing that or doing this. But he's got common sense and he's not stupid. Unfortunately, 15 years old, you are lazy, and it's hard for me to tell him, hey, you're lazy. But you know, that's life. I was lazy at 15, so
yeah, it's challenging nowadays. But what you're saying about communication is very important, and it's true. And listen, sometimes it's hard, but listen, because you know, a team is acting one way for a reason. So just be open to listening, and if you have to have, like he said, and I know what you mean by an argument. It's that conversation where you're arguing about something, but it's not really a fight. It's more of a discussion. And you have to have those hard discussions, because what I'm noticing a lot is that parents, because they don't want to lose the disapproval of their child, they avoid that conflict. They avoid the conversation escalating or the discussion because they don't want that. And that's where you're missing out. And that's where maybe the behavior continues, because you're missing out on those good conversations. I would say communication, like you guys said, is the most important thing.
Yeah, and definitely.
Yes. And if you guys would like to know more about how to communicate, how to develop, you know, that control that we're talking about, the mindset that you need to be able to, you know, make that decision and say, you know what, I feel like this, or I don't want to do this, but this is good for me, I'm going to do it. Yeah. All these type of things. I would like to invite you guys to our Team Warrior Summit. And right now, I want to give you guys a little gift. We have going on for a couple of days, because the summit is in 2 days from now. So we've put out this promo. And if you write TWS exclusive in the promo, you will get an extra discount, and you will get to the summit for under $35 if you do it now. So guys, thank you so much for hopping on today. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. And once again, thank you, Mark and Joshua, for hanging out for me today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All right. I'll see you guys soon.
Thanks.
The Teen Warrior Summit was created out of the desire to have the much needed discussions when it comes to teens. So many teens now are dealing with depression, anxiety, negative self-talk, suicidal thoughts, and even addiction. They've become addicted to technology, smartphones, porn, video games, social media, and even drugs. We aim to arm teens with the tools needed so they can be their own superheroes in life. The 5 elements of a superhero are confidence, courage, commitment, control, and purpose. That is what we are going to be teaching you inside of the Teen Warrior Summit.